These people know how to enjoy retirement. They are not afraid to try new things and discover amazing sides of their personalities. How to become a fashion icon if you're over 60? How to start a successful business after a series of failures? How to open your talent and become successful in creativity without looking at your age? Conquer mountain peaks, set world records, and the main question: what unites all happy long-livers on the planet? All of this is discussed in this video. Harland David Sanders, the legendary founder of the KFC restaurant chain. After many business failures and bankruptcy, he opened his first restaurant at the age of 65. This enterprise brought him worldwide fame and made him a billionaire. His path to success was not easy. He endured one business failure after another, lost his beloved wife, and was on the brink of complete collapse many times. To get a loan for his first small restaurant, he used all the savings and even mortgaged his home. He continued to believe in his business no matter what, and soon his secret recipe for fried chicken conquered all of America and then the whole world. He started selling franchises to other entrepreneurs to expand his business. This is how Sanders created the KFC brand, which became a symbol of American cuisine. Kitty Peckett was the perfect daughter, exemplary wife, good mother, serious teacher, responsible homemaker, and freelance calligrapher. She lived her life within the boundaries that were familiar to her, but everything changed when she stood on a surfboard at the age of 50. Surfing didn't fit into her exemplary life before, but she eventually agreed to an offer from a stranger to teach her the basics of the sport. Kitty claims that the first time she rode a wave on a surfboard, it turned her life upside down. She began to paint with oil on canvas, and her paintings became bright and expressive, as if they had been waiting for half a century for Kitty to gather the courage to paint them. Now this new Kitty is 75, and she feels free and happy like never before. She even goes out on her surfboard in the winter and isn't afraid of huge waves. Kitty kept a kind of diary of her struggle in her surf helmet. She keeps this helmet where the words "fear," "I was scared," "against the current," and "I was worried" are juxtaposed with the words "happiness," "freedom," and "life begins at 50." Her husband was amazed. His meek wife, who used to only sit behind the wheel with his permission, began disappearing to the beach for whole days with her surfboard, participating in competitions and exhibiting her paintings. There was no way to influence Kitty. Her cells fell apart. Now Kitty goes out to the ocean with her surfboard any time of the year, even in winter. Sometimes she rides the surfboard right onto the snow with the wave. Huge waves don't scare her anymore, and she even surfs in strong storms. She mostly competes with male surfers. There are no other female surfers her age in the area, and often wins. Men I compete with say that surfing is a struggle with the elements and an opportunity to demonstrate strength, Kitty says. For me, it's not like that at all. When I catch waves, I experience the strongest spiritual experience first and foremost. I like feeling the ocean air, sky. It's like going to church in a way. In her workshop, Kitty sometimes brings curious objects she finds on the beach. She comes across these items because, having stopped walking in cells once, she can't stop, and she never walks on common paths even on walks. Just half a meter away from the path that everyone walks, and there's a lot of interesting things, she assures. Among her finds is a broken lobster trap, an empty cell that lobsters once broke from the inside and broke free. This broken trap, like surfing, is an excellent metaphor for Kitty's life. Jeffrey Life. A new body at 74 years old, the life of this man was quite monotonous. He had obtained a medical education and spent a long period of time working as a family therapist. Jeffrey suffered from excess weight to such an extent that he couldn't tie his own shoelaces. The man had many harmful habits, from smoking to excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages. Soon, Jeffrey realized that it was time to heal the most important patient, himself. Life developed a specialized diet and exercise regimen that was able to bring his body into unprecedentedly good shape. Just 19 weeks of proper nutrition and regular workouts, and I became the champion of Bill Phillips' contest, writes Jeffrey in his book The Life Plan. In reality, there's nothing particularly special about Dr. Life's program. The doctor advised Jeffrey to follow a low-fat, low-carb diet and exercise regularly. Changes were not long in coming, and the grandfather with a sense of humor noted this in his book. And again, I was getting rid of fat deposits and gaining mental clarity. Sexual functions also came alive. At the moment, everyone knows Jeffrey Life as a man who was able to completely change his life by the age of 74. In 2012, a popular men's magazine recognized the doctor as one of the most athletic men, while the other athletes on the list were aged between 20 and 40. Today, he is a doctor of medical science and a bodybuilder who advocates for a healthy lifestyle and the prevention of age-related diseases. Thanks to his diet and exercise programs, many people have been able to start their lives anew and dedicate themselves to health and love for their own bodies. Laura Ingalls Wilder was an American writer, best known for her series of books Little House on the Prairie. She began writing about her childhood memories and family life at the age of 60. Her life was full of hardships and deprivation. With her family, she traveled from place to place in search of work and a better life. The family experienced natural disasters, crop failures, the loss of a son, and severe cases of diphtheria, which left Laura's husband almost paralyzed. After a fire destroyed their home and all their possessions, they settled in Mansfield, Missouri, where the couple struggled to make ends meet, taking on multiple jobs. One day, Laura decided to remember the happy days of her childhood and record the interesting stories her father told the girls sitting around the campfire in the middle of the barren prairie or by the burning hearth in one of the houses he had built himself. She remembered the cheerful and sad songs he sang accompanied by his beloved violin. Thus, Little House in the Big Woods was born, Laura Ingalls Wilder's first novel. In it, she told the story of two little girls, Mary and Laura, and the adventures of their father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, hunters and farmers, in the dense forests of Wisconsin. This little book was published in 1932, and the next day, the 65-year-old wife of a Missouri farmer, unknown to anyone and to herself, became famous. Hundreds of young readers wrote enthusiastic letters to her, demanding a continuation of the story, and the continuation followed. Over the next 10 years, Laura Ingalls Wilder published 7 more books about her childhood and youth. Laura Ingalls Wilder's books have been through numerous editions, translated into almost 20 languages, and adapted into a popular American television series. A literary award is named after her in the United States, and memorial societies and museums have been established in many places where she lived. Yvonne Decharin, 64 years old, decided to conquer all the highest mountains in the world in a year. In the last 6 months, Decharin has already climbed Aconcagua, Kilimanjaro, Everest, McKinley, and Elbrus. And in the next 6 months, he will climb 2 more world peaks. The idea is to climb the highest points of each of the 7 continents. No one in Europe has climbed all 7 peaks in 1 year. For world mountaineering, this is a significant project, considering that Decharin and his 2 teammates, Ludmila Korobeshko and Maxim Shakirov, deliberately avoid the classic routes and choose difficult paths for their ascent. This climb to Everest was Decharin's 3rd. It lasted 59 days. The temperature was good this time, says Decharin, only -45 degrees. He recalls that he was less lucky last time. It was -54 degrees. However, the good temperature still rewarded him with mild frostbite on his fingers. He had to take off his gloves to take a photo on the summit. When Decharin was 50, He climbed the Indian peak Chingabang via a route that no one had been able to pass before, through a vertical wall. The climb lasted 16 days without a break. They also spent the nights on the wall, 3 of them on a tiny piece of stretched tarpaulin suspended in the air. How to endure this? Ivan claims the secret is in relaxation. When you know how to properly relax your body, you can manage to rest even when hanging by one hand. Dusharan is happy to demonstrate how to do it. During the tough multi-day climbs, Ivan loses a lot of weight. Just on his last climb to Everest, he lost almost 10 kilograms. Normal athletes have a physique, he jokes, but we mountaineers have a body deficit. The weight loss method by Dusharan is certainly one of the most effective, but also inhumanly difficult. However, Ivan values mountaineering not so much for the opportunity to demonstrate physical endurance, but for the necessity of thinking and making decisions. This is truly an intellectual sport, he says. You have to think a lot. Julia Child. Fame came to her after 50 years. This outstanding woman, who was 189 centimeters tall and wore size 43 shoes, received the title of Culinary Queen of America after the age of 50. Ironically, for the first 3 decades of her life, Julia didn't even know why a kitchen was needed in a house. She and her husband moved to Paris and had a conversation in a French restaurant.
What is it that you really like to do?
Eat.
I like to do. I know. And you're so good at it. Look at you. Now, how good you are.
One of Julia's first attempts to cook lunch led to a real disaster. She almost burned down the kitchen and exploded a duck. After moving to Paris, Julia discovered French cuisine and fell in love with it completely. She decided to learn how to cook like French chefs, no matter what. Her habit of seeking quality education led her to the best and most prestigious institution, the legendary Le Cordon Bleu Academy, where Julia became the only woman in the course. At that time, culinary arts were exclusively a male prerogative. After successfully mastering the skills of French chefs, she decided to write a cookbook and worked on it for over 10 years. A book with over 800 pages frightened most publishers, who didn't believe that American housewives would be interested in reading such an impressive work. After many rejections, the book finally saw the light and became a bestseller for many decades to come. Julia was then invited to host a cooking show, where she finally charmed viewers and became a legend of cooking thanks to her naturalness and sense of humor. Julia said, "Find something you're passionate about and keep tremendously interested in it."
You're not pretty, and you'll never be pretty, but it doesn't matter. You have something much better. You have style.
Iris Apfel. Real fame came to Iris in 2005 when she was 84 years old, after an exhibition of her costume collection at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. The success was not accidental. Since a young age, Apfel had an artistic taste, or at least her own vision of what an outfit should look like. "I was never pretty, and I always didn't care about it," Iris continues to say. Iris lived her whole life with one man. Her marriage to Karl Apfel lasted 68 years. As she admits herself, sometimes this period seems like a whole eternity to her, and sometimes like a nanosecond. Iris still finds it difficult to talk about her relationships. Her beloved died in 2015, just a few months before his 101st birthday. Since childhood, she has honed her style by adding the most incredible outfits to her wardrobe, never afraid to combine the uncombinable and appear extravagant. For her, creating a wardrobe was real art and a means of self-expression. Iris skillfully combines couture items with flea market finds. "I've never been a hostage to brands," she says. "I just buy what I like. If it's some bracelet and it costs $5, even better." When you dress differently from everyone else, you start thinking differently. Now Iris has not lost her popularity. she could be seen on the covers of glossy magazines and on the catwalks of the best fashion houses, and brands with her name are incredibly popular all over the world. She jokingly says about herself, "Remember, I'm the oldest teenager in the world." What unites all centenarians and helps them maintain their health and spirit even in old age? There is an interesting study on this. In 2004, Dan Buettner and a group of scientists began researching the lives of people in 6 blue zones, areas of the planet with an unusually high concentration of people living to 100 years or older, including the islands of Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, and Icaria in Greece, the city of Loma Linda in California, USA, and the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. He summarized the principles of a long and happy life in his book, Blue Zones, which was published in 2008. Dan Buettner's rules for longevity are as follows. Be constantly in motion. Centenarians did not run marathons or set world records, but they constantly experienced low-intensity physical activity, such as walking long distances or working in the garden. Eat less than you want. Try to avoid meat. None of the centenarians ever followed a strict diet, but many ate organic food and, in addition, tried not to overeat. Most moderately consumed meat, usually simply because they could not afford to buy it. Rest and relax. None of the centenarians chased after superproductivity. Each found time to rest and spend quality time with friends. Live with family and for family. For most centenarians, family was at the top of their list of life priorities. Believe, most centenarians turned out to be believers. If the stories of these amazing people inspire you, like and share this video with your loved ones. It is so important to maintain faith in yourself and your strength at any age. Subscribe to our channel so that we can share new inspiring stories with you.